Hello, my wonderful friends. Tonight on Marriage Without Tears channel, we're going to be discussing the issue of domestic violence. We have had so many stories in the past couple of months about a whole lot of violence that is happening in several homes in the nation, about couples rising against one another, about some of them even resulting in deaths and all manner of terrible consequences. And we think it is the right time for us actually to discuss this terrible situation, domestic violence. When we talk about domestic violence, what do we actually mean? First of all, it's not just about the physical pummeling of a spouse. It goes beyond that. When a partner decides to use controlling tactics, intimidatory tactics, when a partner decides to use all manner of coercive behavior to undermine the marriage or to dominate the spouse, we can call that domestic violence. It can happen psychologically, it can happen physically, it can happen emotionally, it can even happen sexually. Some people have said, oh, is it possible for a partner or for a husband to rape his wife? Yes, it is possible. That's a part of domestic violence. So when you do whatever comes, what you may consider as a natural instinct to dominate your spouse, or to intimidate that spouse to the level whereby he or she begins to behave the way she ought not to, that can be termed a form of domestic violence. So when we talk about domestic violence, it actually goes beyond, physical fighting. A couple can be involved in domestic violence without actually, showing it, for everybody to see. When a husband, for instance, or a wife really decides to use the fact that he or she has more financial leverage over the spouse and begin to use it to intimidate or to control the spouse, that can be termed domestic violence. So it is actually a very broad spectrum, domestic violence. We want to look at the causes, want to also look at how to prevent such a thing from happening in your own marital situation. So what can we say are the causes or the immediate and remote causes of domestic violence in homes? The very first one I can point out right now is what I call unresolved anger and poor emotional control. When there are issues in a marriage and the partner seems to be sweeping it under the carpet all the time without actually sitting down with the partner to check the immediate and remote causes of these conflicts, if it remains unchallenged and if it remains unresolved, a time may come when one partner may lash out to the other in anger, and that may result in some terrible outcomes. So unresolved conflicts. And of course, if a partner does not know how to properly manage anger, if a partner does not know how to take reins of his or her emotions when it appears as if there are obvious disagreements, it can result in domestic violence. If as a couple you discover that anytime that there is a rising discontent or a disagreement between you and your partner, that there's a tendency for your anger to grow overboard, you may decide to just get out of the home for a time, for a few minutes, for a few hours, and let the emotions calm down before you come back to the home. You may decide to just lock yourself inside the room and just stay away from that conflict situation. Some people can adopt that kind of attitude as a way of stemming the tide of anger, because when anger is not stemmed, there's a tendency for violence to occur. So unresolved anger, as a couple, there's the need for you to always find a way of achieving proper resolution of that conflict. Find out why those conflict happened and then take proactive measures to ensure that something like that never takes place again. Very, very important. If you can do that, then there will not be a backlog of conflict situations that can take the relationship to the place of emotional breakdown. So know how to resolve conflicts and also know how to walk away if there are obvious situations that may give rise to a violent situation. So know how to walk away. The second thing that can also give rise to domestic violence is what I call power issues, power tussle. between couples. There are situations whereby either because the woman is earning more than the man, she wants to bring the same kind of leverage into her emotional, into her relationship. Possibly she's occupying a very high position in the office and she's controlling a lot of men and everybody is bowing down to her in the office. Then she takes that kind of authority, that kind of man, and she carries it to her, to her husband in the home. There are bound to be some serious issues. Some women do that, and when you do that, you are only inviting violence, because a man would always like to be in charge. So there are also situations whereby the man wants to be in charge, or what I may call over in charge, whereby he decides to adopt some intimidatory tactics in order to weigh the woman down, in order to bring the woman under his control. Some people do that, and it may not be to the best of your marriage, because you may end up, instead of having a partner in the relationship, you end up having a slave, somebody who says yes to you at every turn, because she's afraid of her, the altercation. She's afraid of what may happen if she disagrees with your opinion. So, but if you allow this authority issue to just stem down, if you are able to stem down from your high horse and decide to build a relationship that is based on harmony, on partnership, on collaboration instead of contentions, if you decide to build that kind of relationship, you will not allow this power tussling to be in your relationship. Because power tussling is what has given rise to so many cases of domestic violence. About the man feeling, oh, the woman is not respecting me enough. Or the woman feeling, oh, the man does not, agree to my opinions enough. All you need to do as a couple is to know that you are in a relationship whereby if you win, your partner wins. If you lose, your partner also loses. So if you have that at the back of your mind, you will build a more formidable relationship, because power tussling has been at the bane of many marital failures and many cases of domestic violence. So, and of course, the third thing that can give rise to domestic violence is substance abuse. Substance abuse. When the husband or the wife is always high on alcohol, on cocaine, or Indian hemp, or things like that impairs judgment. Because when you are under the influence of substance abuse, your capacity to judge rightly is impaired, and some certain words that may come from your spouse that you have taken just normally, you will read meanings into it, and based on those meanings, you can begin to express violent emotions. So substance abuse has given rise to a whole lot of damages in most relationships. If you can get your marriage to the level whereby you don't indulge in substance abuse, or rather when you find yourself high on alcohol, then some certain issues that are relevant, some certain relevant issues, important matters that concern your marriage, that concern your home, should not be discussed at that period in time. You have to allow yourself, enough time to come out of your, alcoholism, come out of your, indulgence before you begin to discuss important matters. Because once your judgment is impaired, every other thing is impaired. Even the outcome is impaired. And I have seen many damages happen in the relationship whereby the couple indulge in substance abuse. Once you indulge in substance abuse, you can never reason properly with your spouse. That is the truth about it. And the only way to checkmate it really is to get far away from, anything that may impair your judgment. Get away, far away from alcohol, far away from cocaine, far away from intoxicants that may impair your appreciation of issues. And if you also find yourself, like I said, under that influence, please don't discuss important matters. Very, very important. Once again, my name is Felix Okeke, and we are discussing the issue of domestic violence. I'm giving you the causes of domestic violence. And when you check at this, when you look at these causes, it may be necessary for you to, use it to weigh the health of your marriage and see where you are missing it. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. There's a red button by my side. Once you click on this red button, you get subscribed and become a part and parcel of this wonderful channel. The fourth thing that can give rise to domestic abuse is experiences during childhood. We have had so many of us while we were growing up under some terrible parents, under some draconian fathers who indulge in beating the hell out of their spouses. When you have lived under that kind of environment and you grew up with that, it becomes easy for you to, that such thoughts will also dominate your heart. And if care is not taken, it may fritter into your own marriage. That is the truth about it. I have had situations whereby people who actually witnessed that as they were growing up, witnessed their parents always fighting it out, always breaking televisions and breaking tables and breaking cups and throwing all manner of tantrums and indulging all manner of physical abuse of themselves. At the end of the day, by the time you get into adulthood, the tendency for you to react that way will always come naturally. So when you have had such situation in your childhood years, it will fritter into your relationship. So the only way to actually abort such a thing from happening is to realize from the word go that violence and love doesn't go together. And if you actually have made up your mind to actually love your spouse and to actually be with her or be with him, then you must allow peace to reign. You must make a firm decision inside of you to have a different kind of marriage than what your parents had. You must be able to break away from the ugly incidences that you witnessed as a child and use your own marriage as a launching pad towards showing your children what good marriage can be, what a good home can be. So you make that decision. It's an intentional thing. So you do that within yourself, and then God will give you all the leverage, all it takes to actually minister to your spouse in joyfulness and in righteousness without violence, indeed, without violence. The fifth and final thing I want to say that causes most domestic violence issues in marriage is financial stress and dependence on a spouse. When there is not enough to go around, when the man is always struggling on how to balance the budget, when a man is always finding it difficult to fend for the family, and the woman does not consider the stress the man is going through, but uses whatever comes onto her to take care of herself or to misuse it. I have had situations whereby the man goes out there, do all manner of things to make money, but the woman spends it as if there is no tomorrow. Situations like that can cause a lot of tension in the home. It can also happen that a woman who is not working or who is not totally productive, who is not bringing in income really, may find herself depending or over-depending on the man. And in such a situation, the man uses that financial leverage as a weapon. That's a form of domestic violence, when the man uses his financial leverage as a weapon to undermine the joy of the wife. That is a domestic violence. So we have had such situations, and when that happens, you will find all manner of quarrels, all manner of arguments happening on a daily basis in the home because of financial stress, because of dependency on a spouse who probably feels that he is the one that is fending for the family and the other one is practically doing not much. So it can bring a lot of tension. And the only way to guide against that really is to ensure that your woman works. I always have issues with people who keep their wives at home and yet they complain when the wife asks for money. Why do you keep her at home and you don't allow her to work, and yet when she asks for money, you are angry? No. Give her whatever it takes for her to work. Let her go out there and also hustle like others, so that she will understand how difficult it is to actually make money, so that the next time she receives money from you, she'll be careful how she spends it, because she knows it is difficult also to make this money. So there's a need for both spouses to find whatever they can do to make money, and then augment the home and have a kind of financial plan for the family. Once you have that financial plan and you are able to balance budgets with your spouse, then this issue of financial, this area will not bring much stress into your family. It will not bring much stress to your marriage, really. And you will find yourself working and appreciating one another's contributions financially into the marriage. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. So I have given us really about 5 situations that can bring a lot of terrible, misunderstandings in family, that we also, if taken for granted, can lead to issues of domestic violence. And I think I may have to stop here for now, but because next week we are going to look at how to prevent cases of domestic violence and how you can end domestic violence in your own marriage, because it ought not to be the joy of your marriage. It ought not to be what people see in your marriage. You're married for joy. You're married for love. You're married for all manner of joyful seasons and all manner of joyful expectations. So you should not be found steaming in domestic violence. So next week I'm going to give you fundamental things you need to do in order to stem the tide of domestic violence in your home and make domestic violence, to be far away from your relationship. Very important. And please, once again, before you check out, look at this red button by my side, click on it, get subscribed to this channel, and let's do this next week. Have a wonderful time. My name once again is Felix Okeke. I am your marriage counselor and coach. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.